ranking all of the books that I read my first year on booktube as a casual reader. Not that many, but at least it'll be fun. Hello, we're coming up on my first year anniversary on booktube. It's November 8th, I believe. It's the first time that I uploaded on this channel, so it's been a year. I haven't read the amount of books that I've wanted to read, but we're going through it a little bit, but it's fine. At least we've read some books, and that's really all that matters. So I've compiled all of the books that I read my first year on booktube, and we're just gonna rank them on a tier scale. I'm kind of divided on whether I should go in my bed and do this from there, or if I should sit here and do it here. This is a new angle for us too. I don't know how we're liking it, because I didn't feel like setting this whole thing up again. So we're gonna decide. I don't know whether if I should stay here, if I should hop into bed and make it really cozy. I guess we'll find out in like 3 seconds. So I decided to move to somewhere more comfortable. I have a pillow, I have a friend, and I'm ready to rank these books. So let's go. Okay, starting from the bottom. If you've been with the channel for a little bit, you would know the slander I have for Caraval. And it's just for me. Listen, in the moment, and I know these past few months I've been slandering Caraval left and right. In my head it's ingrained as a book I had a very bad time reading, and honestly when I look at the entire year, it would be at the bottom. So if you're in that category, it's just Caraval level book. I was disappointed, I was upset, I was bored. Everything that I could have felt negatively, I felt while reading this book. Hence why it's our bottom tier. So that's why that's there. My next category up is I Was Lied To. Books that I went into thinking that they were gonna be good. Realistically, I thought they were gonna be better than good, but they were just good. And because I was lied to into thinking that it was gonna be better than it was, it just disappointed me, you know? You get my drift. So disappointing books. The next one up is You Had Potential and That Makes Me Happy. Books that weren't terrible, but they had potential to be better, and makes me think that you had a greater purpose, but somehow it just wasn't executed very well. And had they went there, it would have been a great book. But I'm just happy with the potential that it had, because it's not terrible, you know? So overall, good books. It's just like a longer form of saying they were good, but could have been better. The almost there category is like, it could have been 5 stars if a few things were tweaked. Next level up is Gorgeous Lovely No Notes. Meant to be said as Gorgeous Lovely No Notes. I'm sorry for my terrible accent. I know it's awful. I will try to not do that again this entire video, which I really don't think that'll happen. But Gorgeous Lovely No Notes is more or less my 5-star books. I think that's just what the category is going to be. We can go in chronological order in the way that I read these. So starting us off is Fragments of Horror. Fragments of Horror is a graphic novel in the horror genre. So I read that. It was my first video that I ever filmed for the channel, and it was good. It was good. I'm kind of trying to... I wasn't lied to. I'm not gonna say I was lied to. So I'm gonna put that into the You Had Potential and That Makes Me Happy. The art in the book was creepy the way you want it to be for a horror book. The stories that were good had really good horror elements, but the ones that were more on the creepy side, not so much on the horror side, were good creepy stories. So I feel like in that department it had potential, like based on what I read with the other ones, to be better. You know what I mean? The art either way was really good. It was really nice. It was really, I don't want to say pretty, it's supposed to be scary, but you know what I mean. I don't know if I'm a hard person to scare, but it was good. It had potential to be better though, and that is why I actually got another one of this author's books, another graphic novel that I wanted to read around the fall season that I didn't get a chance to, but yeah, just the art. I don't know what to say. The art's really nice to look at. After Fragments of Horror, I read And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer. This is directly going into the I was lied to category. I'm kind of debating whether it should go into the You Had Potential and That Makes Me Happy category though, because no, I'm keeping it in the I was lied to category. The way this book was sold to me was that it was going to be this very emotional story that was going to make you hardcore cry. It did not do that to me. It felt like it was trying to get me there, but it really didn't do enough to have the emotional outcome than it wanted me to feel. I needed a little bit more to the story. This is like a year ago, so I'm trying to remember, but I needed more from the story for it to get me invested in these characters and make me have the catharsis of what the ending wanted. Does that make sense? There are some really nice quotes in that book, but it's a short story, only about 70 pages. Maybe if it was longer and more developed, I would have been more invested, but I did not cry. I was lied to. And then we go into Agatha Christie, And Then There Were None. This is also going to go into the You Had Potential and It Makes Me Happy category. So, And Then There Were None is a murder mystery book. Pretty straightforward. People go to an island. They get picked off one by one. You're trying to find out who the killer was. This book was good. This is one of my first videos. I haven't watched that since I published it. I honestly think it's gonna look really rough editing wise, so I'm not gonna go tell you to watch that because honestly I myself am scared. But in that video I have a vlog of me reading this book, and when I finished it I actually was missing the last 14 pages of that book. Yeah, so I ended the book and it ended, obviously didn't end, so it had this kind of cliffhanger sort of situation, and I guess I really liked that because I was so into it that my rating was way higher than it was after I finished the book officially. So I'm not gonna blame Agatha Christie for writing the ending the way she did. I liked my ending more, and I'm debating the I was lied to category. It's one of, you know what, I'm gonna keep it there. I'm gonna keep it there. It was my fault I didn't read the last 14 pages. Could I have been lied to about the contents of this book and it being one of the, it's one of her most famous murder mystery books. I'm not gonna say it's one of her best because I personally don't know if people claim that, but partially this is my fault. So I'm gonna leave it there for now. We'll see how it goes in the future if I reread it, but I'm gonna keep it in the You Had Potential and That Makes Me Happy category. Then we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. So the past three books that I've mentioned, so Fragments of Horror, And Then There Were None, and Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer, are all in the same video along with The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is most literally one of my favorite books. It's a 5-star read. It goes in gorgeous, lovely no notes because I have nothing bad to say about that book, I feel like. It's about this girl who sells her soul and basically she gets to live forever, but with the curse that she's forgotten. Like, you meet her, you turn around, you forget who she is. That's her curse, but she gets to live for a really long time. It's way deeper than that. So that's just the plot. That book is treasure to me. It is so I don't know how to explain how much love I have for this book. Of course, every time I write a book, I read the alternating sides, and of course I rated this book 5 stars, and when I read the 1-star reviews, I mean, I get your criticism. This is more of a character-based book, not much of a, you know, it's like not much happens. It's about your characters, what they're feeling and everything they go through. I want to reread this book so badly. I love this book. It made me feel seen. I really don't know what else to tell you besides I love this book with my whole heart. I'm not kidding. I love this book. I really, I can't say anything bad about this book. If you read it, please read it. I love this book so much. I really have nothing else to say about this pick other than it's one of my favorite books. If I can convince you to read it, just read it, please. If we have books in common that you like and I like, just read this book. So based on timeline order, not the way my videos are set up, that's just kind of a discrepancy, but normal people, straight into the I was lied to. I have a very controversial opinion about this book. I did not like it, quite frankly. A lot of problems with it. A lot of people said it was really good. It was a good romance. Was it? No. Did I like the characters in it? No. Was I disappointed? Yes. Was there potential? Yes. But ultimately I was lied to by everyone, I feel like, but that's okay. We all have differing opinions and that's all right. But personally, I was personally victimized by this book. So it goes into the I was lied to category. And that's all I have to say about that. Okay, and then we get into the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. I just now was trying to remember what the second book was about. And honestly, I could not tell you. Just know that I wish there was a category between You Had Potential and I Was Lied To. If there was a category in between there, that is where The Summer I Turned Pretty would go. I liked the first one the best. I will tell you that. Can I recount most of the book? No. But I'm gonna put the first one in the You Had Potential and That Makes Me Happy because I liked it, but I felt like it could have been better. The last two, however, the last one, it was the bottom. That was the one that I least liked out of all three. And the second one, right now, I swear to you that I'm trying to remember what that book revolved around and I genuinely cannot remember. Like, I know Conrad and Belly dated, but I can't remember. I really can't remember. And that is why I'm gonna put it into the I Was Lied To category. Again, I wish there was a category in between this one and You Had Potential, but there isn't. So just know that this one is above normal people and, oh, maybe I should do that. Okay, just for this category, I'm gonna put them before, I'm gonna put The Summer Without You before these two other books. And then I'm gonna put We'll Always Have Summer behind normal people. Yeah, I had problems with We'll Always Have Summer. This isn't a book review, so I'm not gonna go into that, but if there was a tier between, if there was another tier above Caraval, I would put it there because it's my least favorite out of the three, and that's that. After that, I have Almost There. For Almost There, I'm gonna range these from like highest to lowest. So the more you go to the right, the lower you are on this scale, okay? Fourth Wing is gonna go into Almost There. It took me about 100 pages to get into. It could have been a little bit faster that way. Well, for me, I could have, like, I wish I was invested more early on because I was really pushing myself. But once I got into it, I really did enjoy it. Like, I feel like it could have been better. I just can't tell you how. But I feel like something was missing. And I acknowledge its potential, which is why it's in the Almost There category. Then we have Yellowface. Yellowface has been mentioned multiple times on this channel and it goes into the Almost There category above Fourth Wing. I loved Yellowface. Honestly, I thought it was a really good book. I just had a problem with the ending, and that is why I have it in the Almost There category, because honestly, if there was a tweak to the ending, I could have totally seen it as being a 5-star read, but the ending just really, it knocked it down a little bit. So it was almost there, hence the Almost There category. Then we have Heartstopper, and this is Heartstopper 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm gonna put this in the You Had Potential and That Makes Me Happy. So Heartstopper is a YA series of books. I've read all of them as of right now. There's another one on the way, but I just wish that they would have dove into the topics that they covered a little bit more. Everything that they cover I feel like is more surface level, but if they had dove more into the topics, it would have knocked it up a star. I have all of them rated as a 3-star. I feel like it's a really good introduction. to topics for the younger demographic. I get I'm not the target demographic, but I still feel like it would have been good to have that kind of exposure for some of these topics. So yeah, that goes into the you had potential category, but I still really like them. Just for me, go a bit deeper and it would have been Chef's Kiss. Then we have People We Meet on Vacation. This straight, no doubt, goes into the I was lied to category. People We Meet on Vacation is an Emily Henry book. This was my first Emily Henry book, and I wasn't / still am not very into romance, but this was very, I feel like, cookie cutter romance story. And I don't feel like it was executed in the right way, especially now I'm reading my 3rd Emily Henry book right now, and I've read Funny Story, which we'll get into super soon. I just had a few problems with this book. It followed the formula. I predicted things that would happen in the story. It just wasn't my favorite romance book, and I don't know how I would change it. But I feel like a lot of people talked about this book and held it in a higher regard, and just knowing Emily Henry as a name, I expected something better, which is why it's in the I was lied to category. But fear not, because after the People We Meet on Vacation book that I read, I also read Funny Story, which at the time had just been released. Okay? Funny Story goes into Gorgeous Lovely No Notes. This book, dude. I really, really, really enjoyed this book. I feel like this did everything that People We Meet on Vacation did not do. It had really good characters, like in Daphne and Miles. I felt they were better than Poppy and, what was his name? Nathan? No. What was the other guy? Alex Nilsson, because she kept calling him by his first and last name. I don't know why that bugged me so much, but I just felt like these two characters were more fleshed out than the couple and People We Meet on Vacation, and just the things that happen in the story like happened for a reason and not just because it was part of like the romance formula. Funny Story is just right now, as of right now, is my top tier Emily Henry book, and it goes at the top tier. After Funny Story, and you'll say I only have 2 more books here on this chart. After Funny Story, I read Caraval, and Caraval goes, of course, into the Caraval tier. Caraval is a book that I read. Not only was I lied to about it, but I was disappointed, I was bored, and I was left wanting better characters, quite frankly. I've talked a lot about this book on my channel. Click any video in the past since I read this book, and honestly you'll probably see me talk about this book. This book put me into a slump. I still haven't read much since this book. I'm not gonna blame that book for the months since I read that for my book slump, but I'm just gonna say it had at least a little bit of effect on my reading journey so far. But Caraval goes into the Caraval category. I can't say much else. I feel like I've talked about it a lot. I really don't want to get into it again. So after Caraval and after a little bit of time, I read Lessons in Chemistry. Lessons in Chemistry was the first book that I read in a video that I tried to make. It was gonna be like reading these books until I get out of my slump, and it was the first one I picked up, and that was the one that got me out of my book slump. Lessons in Chemistry had me hooked from the beginning. The first 10 pages had me hooked, and I was like, this video is actually going into the garbage because I found the book that is gonna get me out of my slump. First try. This goes into the Gorgeous Lovely No Notes. It was a frustrating book. It's a historical fiction taking place in the 50s and 60s. It's a great book, honestly. Read it. I would check out the, what's it called? Not disclaimers, the trigger warnings before you do that. But honestly, it's a really good book. I really do recommend it. And it was great. The character development, the characters in the story surrounding Elizabeth, our main character, and just everything and how it wraps up so nicely is genuinely like one of the best things and one of the best books that I've read on booktube this year. Video is unreleased so far, but it's coming. Yeah, so I know it's a bit of a small list, a little bit. I'm disappointed in myself, but I do want to read more this year, this upcoming year. I'm gonna try my best. But that concludes our ranking of all of the books that I read on booktube so far. Honestly, can't wait for the upcoming year and all of the books that we're gonna read and all of the good books that we're gonna find and a few more that I'm gonna complain about nonstop. But it's been fun. It's a smaller list than I would have liked, but we're gonna really grind next year. Hopefully, don't quote me. But we're definitely gonna be reading more books. I love to make videos and I love editing for the most part. And we're just gonna see how it goes. I'm not gonna totally pressure myself to keep up with my Goodreads goal, even though it's quite small. I feel really bad actually. So many people read more than I do. But this is my ranking of all of the books that I've read on booktube so far as a casual reader. I honestly loved reading all of these books and I can't wait to read more next year. So thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Thanks for following me. And if you've been here for a year, thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one.